The idea that we can drill our way out of this is just so absurd. You look at the seriousness of this climate crisis, you begin to see how it's connected to the economic crisis and to the national security threat that we face that comes from the cutoff of our oil. 70% of all of the oil we burn comes from foreign countries. $2 billion a day being sent overseas just for oil. The largest amount of our trade deficit and our current account deficit and the buildup of our national debt is coming because of our overdependence on dirty carbon fuels and foreign oil and coal. And so the economy is being hurt by rising gasoline prices and rising electricity rates. And the older industries that are premised on cheap fossil fuels are being devastated by the sudden rise in fossil fuels and this overdependence. And no wonder, because the new emerging economies like the giant economy in China that has been based on imitating the basic industries that were designed, most of them 100 years ago, again based on dirty and cheap fossil fuels, their economic growth is so rapid, their ravenous consumption of oil and coal is increasing so rapidly, their demand for these fossil fuels is just completely overwhelming the declining rate of new discoveries for oil in particular. And so the price is skyrocketing. And, the idea that we can drill our way out of this is just so absurd as to not to warrant. There used to be an old timey remedy for hangovers called the hair of the dog that bit you. They'd recommend going in and just have another drink in the morning if you had a hangover. Well, that's sort of what that reminds me of. Oh, we have a fossil fuel crisis. Oh, well, let's just try to go back for more. When you're in a hole, stop digging. So I laid out this challenge to the nation and I repeat it here today. The easiest and cheapest and quickest way to shift over to renewable sources of energy is with the generation of electricity. It will take slightly longer to build to convert our fleet of cars and trucks to electric vehicles, but we can do that too, and that is a part of this challenge. And we have to build a unified national grid that's a smart grid and also has the underground high voltage long distance transmission lines. But in keeping with that agenda, the centerpiece of it is this challenge. We have to switch our electricity generation system. We ought to make a commitment as a nation to get 100% of our electricity from renewable sources and carbon-free. They're the ones who say, let's just keep on doing the same old things and expect that we'll get a different result. They're the ones who are saying, oh, it's just fine to continue to be this dependent on oil from some of the most unstable and dangerous regions of the world if we just fool ourselves by pretending that we can solve that problem by opening up a few more areas for offshore drilling in environmentally sensitive areas which wouldn't produce any oil at all for 10 to 15 years, and that'd be sold to China anyway. Am I the only one that finds it strange that our country is so often fooled into picking a remedy for a problem that has absolutely nothing to do with the problem that is being talked about? Proposing to get a slight increase in oil drilling sold to China 10 to 15 years from now as a solution to our rising gasoline prices makes about as much sense as responding to an attack from Afghanistan by invading some other